Episode of the Everblack Podcast is brought to you by Deathwish, Hotrods and Kustoms. Check out their Instagram for all their new t-shirts, caps, beanies, cups, and the all-new Atomic Death lineup. Dale.
Hello. How's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love your background. That album cover.
Thanks.
Yeah, like floating in space.
Yeah, right. It's better than what's really in the background.
I'm curious now. What's really in the back?
Nothing exciting, really. A table.
A table. A haunted table. But
it could be. It's floating in space. Yeah.
Yeah. You see it just go in the background. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's good to talk to you, bro.
Right on. How's Brizzy?
What's that? Sorry.
You're calling from Brisbane, right?
Oh, I'm on the Gold Coast, so I'm a little
okay
further down. Which I'm pretty sure you played here before.
Yeah, we have.
The big day out.
Yes, the big day off. Well, it was Phantomos.
Yeah. Oh,
but I think Melvins might have done it too. We did a Soundwave, I think.
Yes, that was in Brisbane.
That might have been there too. Yeah. Okay.
See, this is what happened, and I was sitting there when I was trying to go back through all the times that I've seen you play live, and I know I've seen you several times, and it was Tool was one, Soundwave,
yeah.
But I know I'd seen you somewhere else, and I can't remember where that was.
Yeah, I mean, well, we've done a bunch of touring on our own too, besides doing festivals.
Yeah.
So could have been that.
Oh, mate, somewhere. It'll come to me later. I was probably insanely drunk and just being.
No way.
Yeah, wow. At a show, what are you gonna do, right?
You guys like to drink, don't you?
We do when we, not so much.
It's okay.
Not so much these days. I don't know.
Yeah.
Getting old, mate. I'm getting old.
Yeah, I know. It catches up to you, doesn't it?
I can't do it anymore. I cannot. Yeah. I can't do the hangover.
Yeah, I know it sucks. I can't do it either.
Nah, 3 drinks and I'm like, oh, sorry guys, we've got to go home.
Yeah.
8 o'clock. But anyway.
It's not very rock and roll anymore, but oh well.
I know. What happened those days? But mate,
I am like a shirt just floating in space, aren't I?
I like that. That's cool. I tried that once, but it just made me look even fatter. So I didn't. I was like, I look like, what do you have those? Is it the Thanksgiving parades over there?
Oh yeah. I
look like one of those, and I was like,
which is coming up.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It's next Thanksgiving is on Thursday. This coming Thursday.
Well, I've got some American friends, and they're celebrating it today. So
really.
Yeah. They're doing it early. So we're going over there, and they're cooking up a feed, and we're gonna have some beers and do the thing, which is kind of exciting.
Great. That sounds like fun.
It does. Yeah. I'm not used to those traditions. We just, have beers.
Eating and drinking beer.
I know. What's wrong with me?
Come on. There must be some kind of excuse for people to get together and gorge themselves.
That's right.
Get wasted.
And not scream at family. Is that a thing? You always see it in the movies.
Yeah.
No,
I have. I shouldn't say anything. I got a friend who told me he's got some pretty funny stories about holiday dinners gone wrong, where everything's a disaster. A real, like one of those "you ruined Christmas" type of stories.
Well, that's also coming up, and I'll probably hear a lot of that, but that's okay. That's all right. That's what you got to do a couple of times a year. But mate, Melvins, you guys,
yes,
yeah, it's up there. Recently released your new album, Bad Mood Rising, and mate, I loved how it was like a surprise.
Yeah, it was. Well, I guess the reason why is because we didn't know when we were going to get the vinyl, and we're waiting on that. We didn't want to announce it and then and then not have it come out for 6 months or whatever. So we're waiting on the vinyl to have everything ready to go before announcing it, and then the vinyl kind of showed up early and didn't, like hey, surprise. So AmRep, we worked this record with Amphetamine Reptile this time too. So they kind of quickly were stuffing records and getting it ready to go. So, and we were already on tour. I mean, I think it was just kind of a weird, well, coming out of the pandemic, it was kind of weird anyway. Like we booked a bunch of touring, and we'd made this record a year ago, July. So we've had it ready to go for a while. Seems like so long ago. But yeah,
I don't even know what happened over the last couple of years. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I know, it's weird, huh?
But that's cool. You got your vinyl, man. I still know dudes that are like waiting.
Yeah,
vinyl. It's insane. I've told a few bands this, where we've got JB Hi-Fi down here, which is like our big music chain place, and you go there, and they'll have maybe one copy of an album that you want, if you're lucky. But then there's like a brick of like Harry Styles or one of those mainstream artists.
sure.
And you're like, man, it's been the same brick of vinyl that's been sitting there. Because I don't know, maybe I'm just, but I say we take all that, we melt it down, and we give it to bands like yourselves that the fans really appreciate, collect.
Well, everybody made a record at the same time, which is part of the problem. Everybody was locked up, so it was like, what are we gonna do? Okay, make records. So that's kind of why there's this log jam, I think, right now. I mean, the fact that they're not there's not a bunch of companies pressing vinyl either. So that also it contributes to the shortage, I'm sure. But hopefully by next year, when our next record comes out, it won't be such a problem. Hopefully we beat everybody to the punch by making a new record before everybody else.
You're good at that, though. You guys are so
we are.
productive.
Hey, we might have already started. You don't know.
Oh, really?
Maybe. It's been a while. I mean, if you think about it, since we recorded our last record, it's been well over a year. We're usually pretty busy. So
yeah.
But I won't say anything. I mean, let's talk about this new one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
rather than we won't try and travel too far into the future.
But
it's a little bit.
We know it's coming. I mean, we
know.
Yeah.
No, we can a little bit, because we definitely have some big plans for next year. It's going to be our 40th year anniversary. So, and definitely we plan on heading south, and that would be really great. We'd really want to come down there and play again.
We would love to see you again. That sounds
amazing. That's the plan.
Especially for 40 years, dude. That's an incredible achievement for any band. Like, it's lucky that bands last 10 years. How's that?
Oh, I know. Or 10 minutes even,
There's always someone. But how is that? Like, looking back on your career, and that's one thing, I'll be honest, like when I was coming in to do this interview with you, you've done so much stuff that it's like, where do you even begin? Obviously, we're talking the new album.
I don't know.
But you've crammed in 40 years, dude. Like,
a lot.
Yeah, man, what a ride.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't seem that long. But, no, it doesn't really. But, we've played, thousands of shows and made tons of records. So, and hopefully there's no end in sight.
Do you think, no, we're not that one. But have you got something planned to tie in with the 40 years other than touring?
Well, we're working on some special stuff to have come out for it. So yeah, there's some plans.
And
so
that's super exciting, because I know so many fans down here, dude. Like, and they're not just fans. That's the thing about Melvins, is that there's no casual Melvins fan. There's not someone that's just like, oh, you're just, like, your fans are rabid, like obsessive, know everything, which is just, It's cool, man.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, definitely, we don't take it for granted for sure.
But they collect everything too. Like I've got
Right,
mates who just, they've got all the vinyls, all the things.
right. Well, we're big collectors too, so we like making that kind of stuff, and it's
And
fun art stuff.
yeah, and they make stuff too. I saw like on the Instagram that like people make figurines. And do you keep all that stuff?
Oh yeah, yeah. Right. There's this woman who made these dolls recently that are really cool. She does this. It's like a knitted doll, and she's done other people too. But she did these Melvins ones, and I was really impressed. And yeah, she gave them to us. It was really cool, and very nice of her to do that. It was yeah. Her thing is called Punk Pixels. If you want to look up her stuff on Instagram, she
Yeah,
just did. I just saw her do Ian McKay from Minor Threat Fugazi,
yeah.
and John Brannon from Negative Approach, Laughing Hyenas. Yeah, her stuff's pretty cool.
Have you got it in the jam room? Have you got like, I don't know, like we've at our jam room, we've kind of got a wall of where we put our gig posters or our memories and stuff. Have you got like a shrine at your jam space where you collect all that stuff?
Kind of. I mean, there's some of our stuff, but it's mostly other stuff like that we're into at our space. But I've got a lot of stuff. I keep everything, and I've hung some of it up. I was kind of a little bit against it at first, but then some of the art's just so nice. Like I've got some Junko Mizuno posters that I really like, and then I don't know, my family likes it too. So I don't feel so bad about like putting up a Melvins poster if it's something that they're into.
That's cool. Always
Yeah,
like, man, because I know, like, let's be honest, my wife hates this room. But
I got my own room. Yeah, I've got my own room that I can have stuff in.
yeah, you gotta have your space, man. You gotta have it. But then,
Right,
you know, it's like me, it gets out of control. But back
no
to
problem.
you gotta do it. Back to the album. I mean, I love how, it's 41 minutes with only 6 songs, and
Yeah.
15 minutes long, which is pretty epic. When you're writing stuff like this, do you sort of start from the beginning? Do you have it all planned out, or is it more like riff here, and then
I mean, Buzz does most of the songwriting, and he and Steven for this record, it's something that we haven't really done for quite a while. Is like make demos. The demos actually just turned into the record, and that's because usually whenever we've done demos in the past, we're always trying to like make it sound like that. So those guys went off and did some demos just on like computer with like drum machine or whatever, and you know, I'm sure Buzz had some riffs and some ideas, but they kind of put it all together in a pretty short amount of time, and then brought it back, and it was pretty together once I heard it, and so I just recorded on top of the demos, and then we just went from there.
so do
So that's something very different than a normal way that we would do it. Usually we would like sit there and like come up with a riff and finish the song, and then do whatever, record it right then or whatever.
I guess it'd be very different from the early days of just jamming out in a room because not everyone had like or like a little tape player. Is that how you guys
Sure.
do it back in the day, like with demos? You just had a little cassette player and it just come out all.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Now it's all on the phone, you know. So same thing. It's just like yeah, riffs on a phone. Yeah, usually when we're working on stuff, Buzz will come in with songs or riffs or parts or whatever, and he'll sit there with the phone and try to remember them, and then we'll jam them out and work out songs. It's pretty easy for us to come up with something. Um, yeah, and he's got no shortage of songs. Never has.
What a legend. I mean, you know,
Yeah,
I love what you guys do. I love what you guys do, but over the last couple of years, obviously it's been very difficult for a lot of bands, but how did you guys
yeah.
support each other as not only bandmates, but mates in general, going through what everyone was going through?
Oh, I mean, well, um, yeah, I mean, we still talked all the time, and I think, um, like right when the pandemic was happening, I mean, we were supposed to go. Actually, I also play with Steven, our bass player in Red Cross,
Yes.
who we brought down to Australia last time we were there. Um, and we were getting ready to go to Europe to do a tour when everything kind of fell apart. So, um, there was maybe a couple month period where we just kind of didn't see each other, talked on the phone, and we're just kind of, I mean, nobody knew what was happening really, so we didn't know that we were going to be uh, locked down as long as we were. So, but I think we maybe let a couple months go by before we started working again together. And one of the things we did was, well, people were doing live streaming concerts, from the rehearsal room type of thing. And we're like, we could do something like that, but we don't want it to be like that. We don't want it to look like we're playing in our rehearsal room or in our house or whatever. Um, and we don't necessarily want to do a full concert and have it be a one-time deal. So we came up with this idea of doing our own TV show, Melvins TV. And I don't know if you caught any of it, but it was us doing performances and then us also interviewing each other, which was pretty goofy and pretty funny. And then there'd always be some kind of little opening skit type of thing, which involved um, going to some destination, picking up some random item, and meeting me at my truck.
I need to. Is it still up there somewhere? Is it on YouTube and stuff? I haven't seen this.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it is right now. It was like, it was a pay thing. That might
Oh,
be on YouTube, or it might be pieces of it. But I mean, it's been out for a while now. So, um, I mean, eventually, I think it'll all come out on, DVD or something, or if anybody cares about DVDs or something, you'll be able to see it. But it was pretty fun, and we put up green screens at our studio and did a bunch of crazy graphics and editing for it. So it came out pretty good. We did like three and a half episodes. It was a lot of work,
yeah.
but we did that, and then we also did a record where we did about 35 songs all acoustic. That
Yes.
came out called Five-Legged Dog.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
we
man.
did that probably about halfway through the pandemic, just knowing we wanted to do another record, have something come out, but that we probably might not be able to tour it.
Mm.
So it's almost like us recording a greatest hits record, but acoustically. As acoustic as the Melvins get, which is still pretty heavy.
Well, it's funny because my mate Ollie, shout out to Ollie, he went and saw Buzz play, and he was like,
Oh, acoustic, yeah.
yeah, acoustic in Brisbane, and he's like, I thought there'd be like these like mellowed out versions, and it was going to be like all these weird interpretations, and he's like, nah, he just played it straight, and everyone just loved exactly.
Yeah, kinda.
And it was like he loved the energy of it. Like he said, it was really fucking cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. Um, yeah, it's funny because people accuse him of like, well, they just sound like Melvin songs. He's like, well, I write all the songs. I mean, what do you think they're gonna sound like? Um, but yeah, he's got some future plans for that as well. And well, before the pandemic, he was going to go on a big major tour.
Mm.
He had done a record with Trevor Dunn,
Yeah.
and they were going to do like a world tour. So that got put on hold, but eventually I think it's something that we'll do. But we'll do a bunch of stuff first.
Yeah, got it, man. You must be hanging for it. I mean, you've had a really good year. Well, it looks at
We
things
did.
with ministry and
Yeah. That was a really great tour. We did like 108 shows this year, so I think that's great.
is it different
It was
out?
good.
But did you find like it was because obviously you've been doing this for 40 years that you sort of you might get a bit wary of the you're just like, oh man, another town. But did it help you sort of fall in love with the road a little bit again?
I think so. Yeah, definitely. I mean, since it was such a long time that we had been out on the road, it just at first just kind of felt weird, surreal, like weird that we're here, playing shows. And it was still, we didn't really know what to expect. We didn't know if everybody would be masked up the whole time, how strict things would really be. It wasn't so bad. There's a few places that I mean, it was kind of like up to the individual mostly. Major cities here were a lot more tight as far as mandates and things like that. But I mean, I don't. It was pretty loose. By the time we went out on tour, it was pretty loose. So it was great.
Could imagine going out with Uncle Al. It would have been pretty loose.
It was. I mean, those guys were all super cool. Like everybody that's involved with their band was, their crew and all the band guys are really, really great. And that was I can't think of like a better tour for us to do coming out of the pandemic.
Mm.
We liked it because we didn't have to play a full set, but still could well, we'd still really, had a balls out 40-minute set that was great. I think we did well every night. And then, just playing with those guys was great. Really, really fun tour.
Do you
had a great time.
Do you prefer playing like big supports like that than your own shows? Or do you prefer doing your own shows? Because I mean, as you said, you can get out there, you can smash it out, and there's I guess a little less pressure.
Doing your own shows. Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm more comfortable doing our own headlining shows for sure, but I like doing those kinds of shows too. We did a lot of that stuff in the mid '90s when we were on Atlantic Records. We did a lot of support slots and really tried to sell the band, and it was definitely tough at times. But then after doing all that and going back to doing headlining shows, it just felt just better. Yeah, it's better.
Man.
But I really liked that tour. That was a fun tour to do, and we would do it again for sure. No problem.
What's talking about the '90s, I discovered you guys on the soundtrack to Demon Knight.
Oh right.
Instant it's there it is. I got the VHS up.
Oh,
but
nice.
And it was cool, man. Like for me back in the day, like you get a soundtrack and you go through the bands and you go, I'd heard about the Melvins because we didn't have the internet back then in those days. We just had
right,
no mobiles. We just had cans with string and all that shit. So
yeah,
I
remember.
I do too. We used that, we want to send a text, we just throw a pigeon out the window. But when I discovered you guys, did you find that doing those things like soundtracks and stuff was pretty helpful for the band in terms of financial assistance or opening you up to other fan base?
Well, we didn't have as much soundtrack stuff as we would have liked. I mean, I wish people, we always thought our stuff was perfect for movies and things like that. So, I wish there was more, but I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, those things, definitely helped. I mean, obviously the biggest thing that helped was us being associated with the Nirvana guys, and people are still interested in that. So, and we understand that, but yeah, I mean, yeah, there's every once in a while somebody will mention like, oh, I heard your song on this TV show, or yeah, I wish there was more of that stuff.
Talking about the TV shows, how was this? I was watching my kids were watching TV and I walked out and they're watching that Uncle Grandpa.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I sort of like reversed back and I looked over and like the Melvins. I'm like, that was the coolest shit I've ever seen in my life. I had to explain why I was laughing so hard because it was so like unexpected.
Yeah.
I was like, sit down, kids. I'm going to tell you about the Melvins. But yeah, that would have been a trip, man. How'd that happen?
Yeah, that's really funny because my kids were watching Uncle Grandpa one day, and I'm like, "What's this show?" I'm like, "Oh, it's Uncle Grandpa." And I'm like watching, I'm like, "This is really cool. It's really psychedelic and weird and like stoner TV almost." And it was like not even a week later, I went over to the studio that we record at and have a rehearse at, and there's this band in there recording with our engineer, and they're like, "Oh, we work on this show called Uncle Grandpa." I'm like, really? Oh, I just saw that show. It's great. I'm like, "Oh, really? Well, we're interested to see if you guys would want to be on the show." And I'm like, "Yeah, that'd be great." And so, yeah, they wrote this whole episode around the band, and we came in and did voiceovers, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I was pretty blown away that we're on that. Yeah, it's a really good cartoon.
And is he rock up with it when Buzz gets dropped off in the egg?
Yeah,
You rock up
it's
on the
so weird.
it's,
I mean, it's such a weird ass cartoon. I love it.
I love that, you know, the cartoons like that are still weird. Like I don't know what effect that'll have on my kids later down in life, but I know what Ren and Stimpy did to me, and
Right.
uh,
Oh, there's even some weirder cartoons that are just like so out there. I'm just like, what is this? You know, like, oh, God, there was something, such a weird cartoon that my kid was watching the other day. It was just, it was totally off the wall. I don't know how to describe it. Like, it was so weird, avant-garde, and surreal, and funny too. It was just like somebody's just. I mean, it's just like you're watching a cartoon. You feel like on your mushrooms or something.
I reckon they'd write that stuff on mushrooms. I reckon that's what they
Probably.
do. It's probably in their little writer's room. They're just like, let's go down the rabbit hole. But
I heard they used to, well, not mushrooms, but I heard that like Pee Wee's Playhouse that they were stoners. So.
surprise me. Doesn't
Yeah,
surprise me at all. But man, you know, of course, man, I've kept you a while here. I'm sorry if I've held you up.
no worries.
But mate, you know, what's the future looking like for Melvins?
Good. I mean, we've got a few gigs lined up for next year that are already announced. So we're kind of booking stuff around that. And yeah, like I said, we're hoping to make it back down there. Yeah, there'll be all kinds of fun stuff for sure
Yeah,
happening next year.
mate, I can't wait. I really can't wait to see you guys down here again. It's gonna be so
Yeah,
long flight. I feel full.
it's a long flight, but it's fine. We're used to it.
That's awesome. Well, hey Dale, thank you so much again for hanging out on the show, and I
Yeah, thanks.
appreciate it. You know,
Right
I
on. Thanks for having me.
that's all right, man. Well, it's like 5 o'clock in the morning here, and I don't usually get up for
Oh
anyone
wow.
like getting up that early for Dale. So
Well, thank you.
yeah, you
I didn't mean it to be so early. So I'm
no,
sorry. My
no, no, no,
apologies.
no, no. It's totally fine. I just hope I made sense.
Oh yeah, you did. Absolutely.
So I'll get people watching go back going, I don't know what that dude was doing, man. He was like, yeah. But anyway, but Dale, thanks again for hanging. We'll have all the links
Right
down
on.
to Bad Mood Rising, and
Excellent.
you take care and enjoy Thanksgiving and Christmas when it comes around.
Yeah, thank you. Hope you guys all like the new record. We love it.
I love it.
Excellent.
Yeah, cool. All right,
All
thank you.
right. Okay, take care.